All right, we'll give everybody a couple of minutes. Everybody got drinks? Am I started? I haven't started. I don't care. All right, you can start. We're recording this, aren't we? Good. All right, first question. Is there anybody in the bloody audience who has arrest rights and arrest capabilities? Good. Playtime. Fuck it. All right, for those of you that might be any type of law enforcement, this is your slide. Now, as nice as I can put it, fuck off. So, how many of you heard about the little incident earlier on this afternoon at the 23rd floor? Up on the 23rd floor, there's nobody from the hotel. Oh, there are. You guys just going to have to hide out for a little bit. Up on the 23rd floor, there's a wine machine. It's a wine dispenser machine. It's brand new. The nice man on the ground floor was all happy to tell me about his new wine machine. So I went up to the 23rd floor and made friends with the wine machine. It's got a switch behind it, but it also broadcasts on the internet. Bottom left-hand side, user IDs and passwords to both generate your own wine code, get access to the wine machine, and unlock it if you want. Feel free, enjoy, have fun. I'm assuming they've probably changed the passcodes by now because they were looking for me earlier. Mike, I apologize if we get thrown out of the hotel next year. I'm sorry. All right, how many of you got... Yeah. You invite Johnny and I and a few others? Yeah, no shit. How many of you guys read the abstract? Did anybody actually bring barbecue sauce to slather themselves with? No. All right, well, we'll go through this one. So, several years ago, I was down in Chicago at ThoughtCon, and Jesse and I stood up on stage and basically explained how we made friends with John Deere tractors, hacked the tractors, and were able to stop crop production. So we decided to revisit that, given the fact I'm not allowed anywhere near anything with wings, engines, tires, tracks, pretty much anything along those lines. We needed something else to play with. So the whole idea of this session is to look at the overall logic. I'm not going to get into a huge amount of detail, but we're going to get into a little bit of the fun and games with this. To put it in simple facts, we're going to take your Wheaties and your Cheerios from you. Then we're going to take your eggs and bacon away from you. Then we're going to take water and heat. We'll mess around with shelter a little bit. And then we're going to talk about why and how. Johnny and the crew and a few others have hit on some more civilized ways of actually addressing the issue. I'm going to get a little bit blunter on some of my stuff. If some of you are sitting here going, what? This is the slide for you. Quite simply, if you don't know how to prepare or look after yourself, or you have no idea how to seek shelter, purify water, or do anything else, I am more than happy for you to cover yourself in barbecue sauce, put a little sticky note on and go, eat me, I'm a snack. Because that's what's going to happen. All right, squirrel moment. For whatever reason, a couple of weeks ago, I suddenly thought, oh crap, I've got to put some slides together. I'm like, I'm going to Wisconsin. Wisconsin equals cheese, to some degree. So the squirrel moment went, ooh, let's think about milk for a second. So it's the same concept. Hold with me on this one for a second. We took a look at the food chain. And we sat down and we're like, okay, why do we want to do this? Why do we want to basically not go after code, not go after computers, but go after food? And part of the logic and part of the reason goes back to some of the other discussions. We all sit here and we all go, there are problems with computers, there are problems with systems, there are problems with whatever. But the general man, person, guy, woman, elephant, whatever the hell on the street, doesn't give a damn. It doesn't affect them as far as they're concerned. They don't know about it, they don't care about it. So what can we do with the roles that we have and who we are to maybe make an effect? What can we do so the average guy on the street, as well as the dingleberry in New York, has that, oh shit moment? These guys are absolutely freaking serious. So we decided to have a little bit of fun. I picked on the UK. Partly because the bastards in the UK have all moved to Scotland, fucked up with the independence vote that we had, and then probably moved back to England. Partly I picked on the UK as well because, well, they've got a fairly decent dairy industry. And also they're several thousand miles away, so any lines that I might have crossed, picking it back up to here wouldn't be a problem. So for us, we took a look at milk. Took a look at the milk and the processing, the manufacturing, and everything else that goes along with it. In doing that, we decided to pick some targets. Here are a few that we decided to pick. There's a couple in Swindon, a couple in Derbyshire, a couple in the Republic of Czech Republic, and various other things. This is easy research. This kind of stuff you can pull off of Google. This kind of stuff you can pull off of their website. They even give you the farms that they've installed their manufacturing tools in. You have a ready-made base to go after. When you've decided to pick your target and you've decided to go after your organization, you can start to hone in on these things. Perfect example, we went and made friends with a farm out in the middle of Berkshire, or Berkshire, back in the UK. We did research online, we had their names and addresses because the nice website told us where they were, where everybody was, did research, found the website, found them on forums. It's all the types of open source intelligence research with all of the data that's on our hands. Those of us that do research, those of you guys that look and go, what am I going to talk about? What do I go into? How do I talk about things? This is the kind of stuff that you need to start looking at, the availability of data that's out there. In doing that, we got to this stage. Top left-hand side is a milking machine with a couple of cows in it. Top right-hand side is a milking machine that's about to start giving some kind of chemical injection to the cow. Middle row is actually the milking machine as it's basically deciding what milk it needs to actually bring in, put out of the cow, and various other things in the Netherlands. Bottom left-hand side is exactly how to get into the damn thing. All based on Windows-based systems. Nice thing about most of these is they have Windows XP on the front end of these things. And they have PC Anywhere as their support protocols. The user IDs and passwords of which you can find on forums. And if you don't find it on the forums, you go out to the manufacturer's website, download the source code, reverse engineer it in IDA Pro, and hey presto, there's your embedded user IDs and passwords for the damn things. It's that simple. And obviously, with it being Windows, you've got to have a little bit of fun. I like this one. So why are we doing this? Partly because, as we've talked about a lot with the whole Internet of Things, and farming stuff's been out there for a while, and apparently it's getting more and more prolific. And it isn't now just staying on one system. Same with our Internet of Things friends that we keep on talking about. The ability to actually get from one device into another device, into the home network, into your corporate machines, etc., 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 all by breaking one of the ovens. The same thing is with the milk systems. The code that the manufacturers write sitting out on GitHub and JetBrains, the passwords all over the place. This is easy stuff. This isn't breaking into a corporate network. This isn't breaking in some new code, taking out the latest F5 Cisco vulnerability. This is fun stuff. And most of it you can download from the websites without a problem. Why are we focusing on agriculture? Well, because it's fun to do that, and nobody else is. Well, not many are anyway. We decided to post this as well. How many of you guys know much about agriculture? We're in Wisconsin, so I hope a few. I didn't realize there's pedometers for the freaking livestock, for crying out loud. They've got them RFID. You can war drive cows. Screw cow tipping, war drive the buggers. It's freaking hilarious to do. And then when you can actually get in, I did some of this. I was traveling a little bit ago. We're down in Texas neck of the woods. And I got onto somebody's site, and I'm actually tracking the ruddy cows as I'm driving down the road. I'm pulling off the RFID tags to these damn... It's brilliant. I'm like, okay, if I can do that, what else can I do? I can get into the database of these systems. I can see what chemicals they've had. I can see how often they're calving. I can see all these other kinds of things. Well, what the hell can I do with that? And then I realized they connect the damn stuff to the cloud. So not only can I now see the farms down in Texas, I can see the ones in Wisconsin. I can see pretty much most of the Midwest ones for this particular manufacturer. What can I do with that? I can adjust the dosages. I can mess with the cleaning chemicals. I can mess with the milk. I can mess with the sampling, the systems, the whole lot. Needless to say, this is how we feel. And this is what we say. Why do we do this? Basically because we're trying to demonstrate and we're trying to show, as everybody's talking about the Internet of Things coming into their homes and their vehicles and they're connected and their networks and their offices, we're missing a whole area, a whole little playground over here. Now, there are people focusing on it, but it's not huge. It's kind of fun to mess with as well, because if you sit there and go, okay, how much milk can I mess with? How many systems can I play with at the same time? And you suddenly realize it's rather a lot. And then you take a step back and you go, okay, milk was a bit of a squirrel moment. Let's get back to some of the stuff we were messing with. I think I posted this up on Twitter. We sat down one evening and we started messing around with corn. Corn and the amount of areas that it influences, let alone the sugar systems, let alone the biofuel systems, let alone the feed systems for next years. You can actually fuck with Monsanto, which is a good thing to do. We are recording this, aren't we? Yes! More cease and desist letters. I got one from Microsoft the other day. I am now banned from Microsoft's campuses. I framed that one. But you start looking into the implications. So we started looking into the monitoring systems, the gate systems, the control systems, the pasteurization. You adjust the temperature on pasteurization, yet you tell the system it's perfectly okay. Now what have you introduced into the human food cycle? You adjust the recording system. You screw with the vaccinations and the dipping systems. All of these things eventually end up in our milk and our food. Kind of fun to play with. And then you reverse the whole thing and go, what happens to the cow if it doesn't milk? I don't know. I mean, does the damn thing explode or something? Look, free McDonald's. So, yeah, it ain't pretty, is it? So we took the step back and we said, okay, and this is the research that we're working on at the moment, and it gets kind of interesting. And the writing's small, so I kind of apologize-ish. But we started looking at Wheaties and Cheerios, and we started saying, okay, how can we mess with food? The monitoring systems, the quality control systems, inventory, barcode. I mean, there's all this fun stuff to absolutely mess around with. And then we took the idea that we had with the cows, and we looked at chickens. I'm not a fan of the battery hen places. So we started looking at all the electronics and the equipment around these places. And we realized how many of those are completely vulnerable. The code's out there, the code's sitting out there, you can war drive the damn things. There's a couple not too far from my neck of the woods. So we drove by them, and we realized we can mess with the temperature control systems in the chicken battery farms. Sweet. I can kill them all, which probably isn't a good thing to do. I'm trying to figure out how to set them all free. I haven't figured that one out yet. I'm working on that one. So then we were like, okay, if we start looking at the pillars that we, squishy bags of water and fleshy stuff, need to survive: food, water, heat, shelter. Now, water's been fairly well discussed about, messing with the SCADA systems, messing with the PLC controllers, messing with the smart controllers. That stuff's still going on. We were breaking into one not that long ago. We got to a stage sitting there with a big bottle of blue dye going, we can inject the dye, game over, have a nice day. This stuff's easy to do. I couldn't help it. It's a squirrel picture. Everybody needs a We talk about heating. We talk about light. I'm not allowed to talk about nuclear dams, nuclear things, because I get yelled at. Apparently I'm not allowed to talk about the Pacific Northwest either. I said they've got a really cool dam system up in the Pacific Northwest that's got some really cool SCADA controllers that if you know the exact 3389 port to scan, it's still wide ass open. Anybody wants the IP address afterwards? Gin and tonic will do it. It's another letter from the feds. I couldn't help this one. Apparently ISIS are trying to attack our critical infrastructure. And I'm like, for fuck's sakes, a 5-year-old can break in. Why the hell can't they? And I'm like, oh, language barrier. Lefty, loosey, righty, tighty. Doesn't translate. Couldn't help it. So, evil plan, fine plan. The capability exists, arguably, and if we could have a whiteboard in here, we could have some fun with this. Arguably, the capability exists to basically screw with the food cycle, screw with crops, screw with water, and all this kind of good stuff. So if we actually manage to do that, we've taken a chunk of the survival equation away from you. You're not going to get fed anymore. Kroger's, Kmart, Walmart, King Soopers, whatever the hell else is up in this neck of the woods, isn't going to get food supplies. Your water is potentially contaminated. The milk that you drink has got vaccines and crap in it because we injected it into there. A lot of you are going to be sitting there going, shit, how do I grow stuff again? At this point in time, the population's hungry, thirsty, and probably fairly wet and soggy as well. Now, the farmers will survive until everybody realizes that the farmers are fair game, at which point in time either those buggers have got better shotguns than we have, or somebody's going down badly. But when you get to the stage where theoretically, with enough fun and games on messing with all this stuff, we have pretty much so hit the Stone Age again, which is quite fun to do, at which point I think a double facepalm is necessary. All right, break for a second. I couldn't help it, but I'm fucking with the QR codes. Who needs a QR code? I can't help. I couldn't help it. I found out how to screw with this stuff. You can do this too. Come on, get the QR. I'd never played with this shit before. All right, for those of you guys who missed it, here it is. Oops. All right, grab the QR code. I suddenly found out you can do animation. I've only been talking for, what, how many bloody years? And I'm like, oh shit, you can animate this stuff. I found new buttons to play with. All right, everybody got the QR code that needs it? Yay? Good, all right. Oh, bugger that for game of soldiers. All right. So, what do we do about it? Obviously, taking your Wheaties, taking your milk, taking your food, taking your corn, your sugar. We've got all of your shit, and it's basically turned it into one of those days. So let's take a step back. And this is building on some of the stuff that the other talks have already talked about. Arguably, with a problem. We really, really are. The basic security issues that are facing us in this day and age are approached with an apathy. So many of us in this industry who stand up and talk to organizations and companies potentially are frustrated because a lot of them do just want to carry on going the same way they do. Now, there are exceptions, totally, and when we find them, God, you want to give them a huge hug. Hi, I want to change. Give me a cuddle. You can't do that to a CISO very often, but you want it. But the executives as well. Now, I argue that some of it is our ability to communicate to the executives, but I also argue that some of those executives need a kick in the frickin' ass. Either that, or you lose shit, you get tarred and feathered. End of discussion. Publicly. Oh, I'm sorry, we just lost 500,000 credit cards. Get your fucking ass outside, you're getting tarred and feathered. End of discussion. I would imagine that would probably hold up better than, I'm sorry, you failed your PCI assessment. There is a reason to vote for McAfee, because you know damn well he'd want to put that in place. The rest of it, nutty as a barrel of squirrels, but man, it would be fun to see. All right. So there are organizations out there that want to fix, but they are rare. And then those that want to actually carry on. You call it a maturity model, call it whatever you want. Here is where you are, here is where you need to be. That is a multi-year effort. And I think that's also part of the problem. Industry, vendors, whoever it is, goes, oh, this will fix the problem for you. Bullshit. It might become part of the solution, but it's a 3 to 5 year journey. And a lot of organizations get 1 year in and go, ha, I think we're done. Is the auditor watching? No, great, we're done. So this is where the challenge comes in. You can lead us to knowledge. But bloody hellfire and damnation, it's a pain in the ass to make us drink. So what do we do about it? There are options. Mine are a little different than some of the others that have been discussed. Here is the scenario. The hacker, the bastard, broke into the computer system and fixed things. He encrypted our drive, the bastard, and he gave us the passcode. He put our passwords at longer than 8 characters. Assholes. He patched our systems. How dare he do that? Could you imagine that shit standing up in court? The accused, my lord, fixed our security. Throw him in irons. But arguably, squirrels. The same logic for SCADA and smart grid systems. Instead of breaking into the station and screwing around with the eastern seaboard lights, which I think is still a good thing to do, he broke in and put a firewall between the SCADA shit and the corporate network. Where possible, he patched the PLC controller, probably without scanning the damn thing, because half the time that breaks the buggers in the first place. But he actually went in. We hacked the system, and we fixed things. Bear with me for a second on this one, because I'm an engineer, I can fix things. So, let's take this a step further. Should this be done? Should we change our attitude? When I go out to the milking machines, and I break in, and I find ways of doing it, should I patch the damn thing, and then take a tiptoey step back? Yes. Could I do it? Damn right I can. Should I do it? Arguably, I would say yes. And here's the logic. Because the companies aren't fixing the damn stuff. We broke into a place over the Christmas and New Year's holiday. About 50% of the servers were more than 24 months unpatched. Gee, we didn't have to fucking use 0 days. Metasploit gave them to us. Here's a handful. Try whichever ones you want. Have a nice day. Oh, I think I'll try that default password. Oh, look, it lets me in. How many of us have seen those environments? Arguably, all, if not most of us. So the logic is, if I break in, because it's fun to do it, let's be perfectly honest, and I fix the shit that somebody else has left, your data's encrypted, you're not going to lose your user ID, your password, your social security, your bank account, or any of that damn stuff. Which means we as a company, or we as a country, I should say, instead of losing billions and billions to the guys that are breaking in, hopefully that number starts to come down. Arguably, I'd say it should be. The problem is, we're not dealing with logic. So, here is an idea. The next time you research something, the next time you sit down to go out there and break something, figure something out, don't just stand up on stage and say, "Ha-ha, it's broken." Don't try and call the company. That'll go one of 3 ways. Hi, you've got a problem. Click, here's the lawyer. Hi, you've got a problem. Click, here's the FBI. I've experienced that one once or twice. Hi, you've got a problem. Bastard, I don't believe you. Click. Rare indeed is the, hi, you've got a problem. Sweet, help us. If you have those, hold on to them. But for the most part, you don't. But arguably, don't call the company. There's a part of me that doesn't want to call the agencies either. There's an argument for and against our little 0-day world. But I would argue the next time you do research, the next time you sit down and say, let's see what I can break, be it milking machines, milk robots, be it whatever the hell it might be, figure out how to fix it. Figure out if it's simple patching, figure out if it's code, figure out if it's systems, whatever else it is, and then fix it. Now, quite possibly, there's a little bit of insanity in this one, but only a little bit, because here's an example. And it comes up with, not necessarily Uganda, but that general neck of the woods. In medical terms, one of those can be turned into one of those. Simple logic. Take the best part of a virus. There's some beautifully written ones out there. Why reinvent the wheel when you can use half of it? Then take the next part of some of the best deployment systems out there. Zeus, SpyEye, and some of the other Trojans. Then take some fragmentation and obfuscation techniques. There's enough nice ones out there. Create the updated architecture and deploy it, and then sit back and wait. In this case, deploy it to Africa, because some of us are getting fed up of all the African shit coming over here. So, oh, and the last one's really freaking important, because the first time I deployed it, or might have deployed it because we're on video, I didn't put a kill switch in. So what it does is it goes out there. It's been running for about a year and a half now. Initially deployed it to about 500 machines. Because I forgot to put a kill pill on it, it went out to about 50,000 machines. It was really good at propagating itself. And then figured out how to put a kill switch in. Actually, it's less of a kill switch. It just basically blocks by IP architecture and some other stuff. But all it does, it infects computers. It's a virus, but it's also a vaccine because it doesn't let anything else infect the computer. Nothing. Why? Because it updates itself from various different places. Why? Because it was more fun to do that than it was to run a freaking botnet on their computer. It doesn't let them move credit cards off of the computer and post them on the net unless they have to. It sits there and basically protects the computer by infecting it. No different than a human vaccine. Why did I do this? Because I got fed up to the back teeth of sitting there and not seeing things get fixed. Now, the challenge, somebody's like, well, you should commercialize that. That's a wonderful antivirus. Bollocks to that. Exactly. Hold that thought for a second. Because occasionally, I have occasionally been accused of being a bit of an evil overlord. There are no back doors. I have sod all interest in controlling the systems. Personally, I just want shit fixed. There is no master plan to take over toasters or appliances one at a time. I just want to see things fixed. Which brings you to this, altruistic hacking. See a problem, fix the bloody thing. Have fun, hack it. Am I advocating illegal activities? Depends on how you view it. I would argue with embedded systems, SCADA, smart grids, PLC controllers, anything in the manufacturing industry, most of the food industry, and about 90% of the Internet of Things that's steamrolling its way towards us, there's probably a few things in there that need fixing. And for the most part, the manufacturers aren't necessarily always on board with fixing the stuff. All right, geek thoughts for a minute. So, the next time you're in your target, obviously, take the PCAP file, otherwise it doesn't count. And if anybody wants the PCAP file for the wine machine, just let me know. It's not on the computer, by the way, just in case yeah, well, whatever. Once you've taken the screenshots, and we have a few more of those, fix it, patch it, encrypt it, get the hell out of there, and leave the key under the doormat. Why? Because we've got to get better. We have to evolve. Old t-shirt that I have, evolve or die, from Packet Storm days. We've got to get rid of the flaws. We're introducing them faster than we can fix the bloody things. There's more developers, there's less security, and nobody lets you tar and feather a developer. We've got to get better at this. All right, squirrel moment. Do we have anybody here that's presenting tomorrow? No. Yes. Well, this is simply for you, because you're special. But this is what I want to say, I guess, to all of us. Don't say what's broken. Figure out and present how to fix it. A couple of us have done this, yeah. The second one, good God. And it's less for this audience, and several of us have done this. A presentation is here to help people learn and understand. It's not a fucking infomercial. And the next person that tells me that their firewall with blue blinky 2016 lights is going to fix something, I'm going to shoot them. I'm only going to wing them, but I'm going to shoot them. Now, personally, and I'm going to get yelled at for this one, because was it Los Angeles? Los Angeles has taken all of its overhead lights. What do you call those? Street lights. All of its street lights are moving to RFID and wireless street lights. I am so going to have a holiday there in a few weeks' time. So, if at some point in time, actually that's Eastern, this is Western Seaboard I'm going to mess with. Yeah, whatever. So if at some point in time the International Space Station suddenly says, oh shit, we're getting Morse code 127001 fixed by, you know who to blame. All right. This one. Stop telling us how we can't do things. Talk about how we do solve things. Whether it's the altruistic hacking, whether you take the approach of actually the I am the cavalry guys, whether you take the EFF approach, the Hackers for Charities approach, pick a bloody approach and do something about it. Focus on the profile, focus on the data, focus on the human. All right. I've said it before, I'll keep saying it, I always say it. We have one hell of a freaking community. Mike, thank you so freaking much for putting this on. Absolutely. Cheers. Obviously, my thanks goes to EFF for continuing to put up with me and my shenanigans. For Eddie, and for everybody else, exactly. Guys, thank you very, very much.